Thank you so much, Richard, for that warm welcome. It's good to know that you're not just a former politician, but in my case, you can be reused, recycled and upgraded. I'm delighted to join you here in Bristol today for the first ever Wild Summit. So congratulations to Richard and all colleagues involved for making this brilliant event happen. We know that Britain is a nation of nature lovers, and I grew up in Coventry in the 1980s with mass unemployment caused by the closure of the car factories. There were several summers where we didn't have a summer holiday, and I remember one in particular where we went on a church coach trip out to the Burton Dasset Hills, and they're in Leicestershire. I found out recently because we didn't really know where they were when you were a little kid going on the bus. And I just remember that trip was my summer holiday. That trip sort of running over this hilly landscape as far removed from the suburban environment of Coventry as you could imagine. And that thrill, that freedom of running through the landscape drives my ambition as Minister for Nature. I want to make sure that everyone, wherever they live and whatever their income, can make those memories, can feel the pure joy and abandon that comes from being in our beautiful countryside. We're not just admirers of nature looking in from the outside. We are part of nature. Our connection to it shapes who we are and unites us all as we fight for nature together. But our country is one of the most nature depleted on earth. The turtle dove and hazel dormouse could disappear from Britain entirely. Our rivers are choked with pollution. Our landscapes are struggling. Nature underpins everything. The air we breathe, the food we eat, the water we drink, the climate we rely on, and our national economic success. Without healthy nature, our communities, our economy cannot thrive. And this government is determined to turn things around. We want to be the best government for nature and climate that Britain has ever had. Not just because it's the right thing to do, although it absolutely is, but because we want a future for our wonderful wildlife, for our children who deserve to make their own memories in the great outdoors. And right now, we're in danger of robbing them of that chance. But there is hope, and we wouldn't all be here in this room together if we didn't have hope. So what have we done in the past year to move towards our goal of protecting 30% of land and 30% of sea by 2030? We said we would act fast, and we have. In just 1 year, we've started healing the damage. Take our rivers, lakes and seas. For too long, families watch their local waterways choking with pollution. Children unable to swim in a carefree way where once their parents did. This simply cannot continue. We have restored accountability with stronger regulation. We've banned unfair bonuses for polluting water bosses, and we've secured £104 billion of private investment to rebuild the water network. This government will work with communities to restore pride in our rivers, lakes and seas. But just as we've seen our waterways polluted, we've seen species disappear before our eyes, and we are determined to reverse that trend. So in March this year, I released the first wild beavers into the English landscape in 400 years onto National Trust land in Studland, Dorset. These remarkable animals, nature's original ecosystem engineers, will create wetlands, reduce flooding and bring life back to our rivers. Nature deserves to soar, so we are overseeing plans that could lead to golden eagles returning to England's skies after more than 150 years. Our election manifesto promised 3 new national forests. The UK's Western Forest is a new national forest stretching from the Cotswolds to the Mendic Hills, which will bring peace, shade and joy to over 2.5 million people in this area. Trees and woodlands brought closer to where people live and providing access to nature. That forest will see a total of 20 million trees planted over the next 25 years. This is just the beginning as we plant millions more trees across our 4 nations. They absorb carbon, cool our cities, improve well-being and support green jobs. They are our vital national infrastructure. They support our economy just as much as roads or railways. Communities will soon begin to see the impact of our landscape recovery scheme, as the first 2 projects receiving £55 million in funding begin to break ground. Projects in round 1 are expected to restore over 600 kilometres of rivers, alongside the recovery of more than 260 species. Farmers are central to our work. More than half have now signed up to our farming schemes that reward them for restoring nature while producing Britain's brilliant food and drink. We recognise farmers as the custodians of our countryside, and we're backing them with a record £11.8 billion of investment over this Parliament. Healthy soils, abundant pollinators and clean water are the foundations that farm businesses rely on to produce food, and we will continue to invest in them to support farm profitability. Nature is integral to food production, and we will protect pollinators and birds, which both play vital roles in sustainable agriculture. We are also protecting our oceans. This summer, we announced we're proposing to ban bottom trawling over sensitive habitats in 42 more marine protected areas. These measures will help protect rare marine animals as well as the delicate seabeds on which they rely, and allow wildlife there to recover. Just some of the things we've done in the past year. But this week, we are keeping the momentum going with 3 announcements. So, on Tuesday, we extended the ban on burning deep peat. Our peatlands store more carbon than all our forests combined. Our peatlands are our Amazon rainforest. They are simply too big to fail. This ban will shield local communities from flooding, improve the air that they breathe, and crucially protect wildlife, upland wildlife, from burning. Yesterday, so Wednesday, we introduced legislation which will enable the UK to meet its obligations under the BBNJ, Biodiversity Beyond National Jurisdiction Agreement. This groundbreaking agreement provides the first legal mechanism for the creation of marine protected areas in international waters, helping to conserve marine life in parts of the ocean outside our national jurisdiction. This is part of the vital work contributing to the government's commitment to protect 30% of the ocean by 2030. And today, I'm proud to announce that we are also making progress on the government's commitment to end the use of banned neonicotinoids in England. Today, new guidance will be published, making it clear that emergency pesticide authorisations must take full account of the risks pesticides pose to pollinators, including bees. So, all in a week's work in DEFRA. During a reshuffle. Every action we take brings us closer to a country where nature thrives in harmony with communities. But action at home alone will not save nature, so we must maintain momentum as we work towards COP30, the Nature COP. The UK is committed to supporting global efforts through our international climate finance. Our Darwin initiative works in partnerships with communities all over the world to support sustainable livelihoods and protect precious ecosystems. Take London-based Union Coffee, working in partnership with Kew Gardens and Ethiopian coffee cooperatives in the Yayu forest. They encourage cultivation under forest canopy, reducing deforestation and enabling farmers to produce higher value coffee for UK consumption. This reduces poverty, protects biodiversity and mitigates climate change. Our ocean investments are equally vital. Through the Global Fund for Coral Reefs, we've leveraged £16 million in public finance and £8 million in private investment to improve climate resilience for 19,000 people, and we've brought 1,600 hectares of coral under sustainable management. Our Blue Forest programme in Madagascar and Indonesia protects mangrove ecosystems while supporting coastal communities. Over its lifetime, it has supported community-led plans to protect 75,000 hectares of mangrove forests, delivered 5 million tonnes of carbon dioxide savings, and benefited over 77,000 people. Just a fraction of our international action as we work with partners worldwide to deliver 30 by 30. And too often we hear that nature is a blocker to growth. But nature and national capital isn't separate from economic growth. It is the foundation of our prosperity. You can't run a business without clean water, fresh air or food. Nature provides direct benefits of over £47 billion to the UK economy each year, larger than any UK manufacturing sector. It provides the air we breathe, the water we drink, the soil that grows our food. So these aren't abstract benefits, they're essential services that underpin every successful business, every thriving community, and every pound of economic value we create. And we have to harness the potential of nature finance if we're going to get to an economy that works with nature, not against it. I am proud that the UK is leading this charge internationally. At the start of the summer, we brought together UK businesses and finance institutions to launch our call for evidence on expanding the role of the private sector in nature recovery. We're already seeing more businesses stepping up, investing in things like saving water, using resources more efficiently, and supporting nature-friendly farming. I met David Creagh yesterday. He is the chair of the Task Force on Nature-Related Financial Disclosures. He told me about their work with Bloomberg to assess how the emerging nature tech sector can be a driver of growth here in the UK. They've done an analysis that has found 900 UK registered companies generating £2.2 billion of revenue, growing at 25% a year and supporting over 21,000 green jobs. These are UK companies using technologies which reduce impacts on nature across a range of sectors, from less harmful forms of crop input management to biodegradable packaging to plant-based protein companies. This is a huge and growing opportunity for the UK. And we want more companies to get involved, which is why we're supporting WWF and the Green Finance Institute's Nature Positive Pathways, setting out clear plans that help businesses set and meet their targets to improve the environment while building a competitive edge at the same time. We will see businesses come together in February next year with scientists when Manchester holds a landmark United Nations conference, IBPES. I finally learnt to pronounce it correctly. The International Biodiversity Panel on Ecosystem Services, or as I like to call it, the IPCC for Nature. We're going to have 900 international delegates, the world's best biological scientists, business leaders and policymakers all coming together in Manchester, a city, as I reminded Andy Burnham last Friday, founded on the bioeconomy by taking cotton grown in India, mixing it with the abundant water that certainly used to fall in Manchester to create cotton, which was then exported around the world. And it's going to be wonderful to see. I was there to launch their local nature recovery partnership, the first in the north of England. Bristol, of course, was first, and west of England was first in the country, so go you. We were there to just talk about what this landmark event in February is going to achieve, so do please think about how you and your organisations can come along and be part of that. And they're going to be gathering there to discuss global business and biodiversity issues. It's also key that we rework the planning system that we inherited, that blocked the homes, infrastructure and economic growth and did little for nature's recovery. This government inherited a housing crisis and we must fix it. We will get spades in the ground quicker so developers can build the homes we desperately need. But this must not be at the expense of nature. Our new legislation embraces nature, including a new nature restoration fund that will unblock building through strategic plans which improve the condition of protected habitats and species at scale, fully funded by developers instead of the offsetting approach that we have at the moment. We must also increase the production and use of sustainable homegrown timber in our homes and particularly in our schools. Planting more trees is essential as we work towards meeting our target of increasing tree canopy and woodland cover from 14.5% in 2024 to 16.5% by 2050. This is a win-win for nature recovery and development, and we will continue to work with you to help shape the approach and support delivery. Driving resilient long-term growth, which works for nature, sits at the heart of this government's plan for change. That's why shortly after taking office, we commissioned a review of the Environmental Improvement Plan, the EIP. Thanks to the help and advice from partners and experts, many of you in the room here today, we found several key areas we must improve. And it's clear from Wildlife and Countryside Link's progress report today that much more needs to be achieved to reach our 30 by 30 targets. Our EIP, which we will publish as soon as possible, will be clearer, more focused, underpinned by robust plans to take the necessary actions to safeguard our natural environment. These changes will be supported by the Carbon Budget Delivery Plan, which will address climate change, and by the country's first ever land use framework, which will set out a long-term vision for the transformation of England's landscapes and set out how growth can be delivered alongside nature recovery. After this, the Food Strategy and Farming Roadmap will present a plan to produce healthy and sustainable food, supporting farmers and food producers in realising this future. Let me conclude by saying, I can hear the alarms going off stage. We want everyone to enjoy nature wherever they are, whether you're walking your dog in the local park, planting veg in your allotment, going for a run in your local forest, and Forestry England told me that they are the largest host of park runs in the country, or whether you're wild camping, as one of my children was on Dartmoor over the summer. We refuse to be the generation that lets nature just slip away. This is the turning point. The last Labour government had a vision to create a path that would take people all around England's coast, in the great spirit of the Kinder trespassers who demanded their day off on Sunday, that they should be able to roam from Manchester and the mills of Manchester and the factories of Sheffield. And this government is going to finish that round England coastal path, the King Charles III coastal path, the longest continuous trail in the world at 4,750 miles. I wonder how many people in this room are going to walk sections of it and make it a mission to complete parts of it over our lifetimes. This will see a huge economic boost to local communities. We've also promised we'll create 9 new river walks, 1 in each region, to bring nature, that blue infrastructure, much closer to where people live. This government will restore our cherished natural heritage, from ancient woodlands to rolling countryside, so our children can forge the same deep connections to Britain's landscapes that I had in the Burton Dasset Hills as a child. But protecting nature requires a whole of society effort. Business, local governments, NGOs and citizens working together in partnership. This task is too big for any one of us to achieve by ourselves. We have a story of change. We are gathered here today in hope. Together we will protect and restore nature. Thank you.